today I wanted to show you some really cool structures. So, I mean, of course, I was watching on YouTube some random videos, and so I thought, like everyone has really cool creative worlds that are substantially larger than mine, and I just wanted to make a new, video just detailing what it would look like if, because of the Nether update, if Minecraft added basically mirror images of all the structures in, the overworld into the Nether. Wouldn't that be cool? And that's what I've done. I've made 5 structures here, which obviously isn't all the structures in the game, but it's a fair amount. And what I'm planning to do is show you what the Nether version would look like. In general, what I've taken is brightly colored structures like the Igloo and the Sand Temple and turned them extremely dark counterparts like the Igloo in the Desert Temple or the Jungle Temple even, for that fact. Let's just get started. For example, here you have the Desert Well. Now the Desert Well is a relatively useless structure because you can't actually do anything in it. But the thing about this is that when you find it, it's a pretty rare structure. It's a 1 in 1,000 chance of generating in every chunk. And so what I did was basically make a desert well in a 10 by 10 square and kind of add some details to it. And then this is the Blackstone Desert Nether well. I guess you would find it in Soul Sand Valley or something like that. And you can see here, it's black compared to the almost white sandstone, and as you can see, instead of being filled with water, it's filled with lava, which is basically the Nether equivalent. Because they flow, so there you can see the soul sand kind of mirrors that exactly, and you have fire here. And basically, it looks the exact same, and the reason I show specifically soul sand is because they look a lot like the Nether in the fact that soul sand is, sand. But on top of that, soul sand is also basically, the soul sand valleys are like deserts, in which case they're there, but they're kind of useless. Like even, like the only reason you'd ever want to go to a soul sand valley would be to farm bone blocks or just kill ghasts. So, I mean, that's cool, I guess, but other than that, they're just kind of useless. And so, to share that likeliness with the Nether. Anyways, moving on. Here you have the Ruined Portal. It's one of my most favorite structures in the game, in the fact that it's so awesome. Just a little chunk of the Nether and the Overworld. Look at this, like, the netherite kind of spreading out. And so I found a Ruined Portal and kind of made a replica of it in this creative world. And I think it looks pretty cool, especially with the hanging stuff and everything. And you have a chest with just full of stuff, pretty cool. And it comprised of smooth stone, stairs and slabs and all sorts of cool stuff. And then here you can see Nether, but imagine this, that you have a ruined portal in the Nether, but instead of the ones that already exist in the Nether, it would be a bit of the overworld in the Nether. Now, I mean, I know that there's water here and that kind of like breaks Minecraft, but I was thinking, I don't know, it would be cool to think like if these were the only place in the Nether to find water, and you'd have like some sort of special bucket or something. They could add that for the Nether update. Obsidian hasn't changed, mainly because obsidian is a block that can be found in both the overworld and the Nether, and it's kind of like a neutral block of the fact. And the reason I chose specifically Blackstone for like almost all of my builds is because, number one, just like stone, it's of a lot of blocks here. I mean, it's like Blackstone's a relatively cool structure piece thing, because in Bastions here it's found a lot in Bastion Remnants, and it's found a lot everywhere, so that's why I'm using it everywhere. And you can see it's an exact mirror with chiseled, cracked, smooth, polished, break, blackstone, all of it instead of iron bars like they're just changed here. It's pretty cool. Yeah. Now the Desert Temple is probably one of my very most favorite, treasured, whatever you want to call it, structures. And so what I've done is so basically mirror exactly what a Desert Temple is supposed to look like. Using a real world replica, not real world, I mean overworld replica in survival that I found. and lit it up, kind of, as you can see. So here you have it. Okay, I'm gonna light it up even more. As you can see, it's the exact same thing with all the entrances and everything. And the reason it's so awesome is because it has a lot of stuff, and you know, since this is a flat world, I can't make the loot deep enough. But as you can see, I mirrored everything. And you know, you've already seen the desert temple, so let me show you to the real thing that you all are looking for, obviously, which would be the Blackstone Desert Pyramid. I use netherrack because I haven't used netherrack yet, and of course, you have now the new materials. Check this out. As you can see, Blackstone. Everything's made of Blackstone, except Blackstone has a kind of a similar, like, what would you say, texture to sandstone, in the fact that it's kind of coarse, but it's not ugly. It's actually kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of an ugly block, but it's really nice to look at. And then over here, you can see the second, you know, Blackstone pyramid thing, which I think is really cool because of the fact that I use red nether brick instead of orange terracotta, because much like everything I've done, I've tried to make it like the nether is to the overworld, dark, gloomy, and kind of twisted in the fact that everything, if it's red, it's blood red, and if it's black, it's like, Vanta black, the darkest black in existence, if you don't know what Vanta black is. Anyway, so I added some gilded blackstone here and there, added some smooth and chiseled blackstone to kind of get that effect going. And since, you know, I haven't had the chance to use crying obsidian as an aesthetic yet, besides the rune portal, which, you know, that's just kind of given, I decided to use it here instead of like chiseled blackstone because I think it adds a really, really nice effect. As you can see, there's gilded blackstone up here too, and yeah, I kind of filled in the edges here rather than what I did last time because I really wanted to use gilded blackstone. Because, you know, it would be cool to find these, because not only on top of this are they really, really rare, but on top of that, if they had the option to get one of some really nice blocks. Anyways, so the next one is the Igloo. Igloo is kind of a structure, it's like, oh look, it exists, you know, it's not really an awesome thing to find, but, you know, it's kind of like, oh, whatever, right? So, found an igloo and made it. Now, think of this. You're walking in the Soul Sand Valley, and, you know, everywhere getting hammered, and then you find this little structure. Think of it. This could actually, you know, in my opinion, make the Soul Sand Valley kind of nicer in the fact that aside from just having fire and gas hammering on you at all times, you can have this. And one thing that could make the selling point of this is kind of like a respawn anchor, which I'm not going to touch because I really don't want it to explode. So it's the equivalent of a bed in the nether. It's as close of a bed you'll actually get than, you know, a real bed in the nether. So of course I'll put it there, and since there's no nether crafting table or furnace, which I thought it would have been awesome, I just added the normal stuff with a soul torch because, you know, and since I couldn't find any, what would you say, replacements for carpet, I used, I think it's called Nifelium for both Crimson and Warped, because they kind of have that carpet effect in the fact that, you know, they're kind of a topper, like a carpet. Now, the structure that took me the longest time to build, and a structure that I only recently discovered, is the Jungle Temple. Now, it's been in the game for a while, but it's kind of underrated in the fact that, you know, it actually takes a lot of effort to build it, and, you know, it took me a while, actually. Both these Jungle Temples combined took me maybe about 5 hours of gameplay to make. So, if you didn't know how Jungle Temples work, they're basically this fact that they're supposed to be really, really dark. So if I remove all the torches, yeah, you can just see the removal of the torches gives you this very dark effect. So what I'm going to do right now is just remove all the torches and give you that effect. See? Yeah, so if I do that, which I didn't do actually. Okay, so you go in here super dark, right? That's the whole point. Then you go through here and it's like, oh look, I tripped on tripwire. I'm doomed, right? That's the whole point of these things. And I think that's really cool because it's really dark. And there's supposed to be kind of like it's basically like a nod to Indiana Jones in the fact that you have traps and dispensers and all sorts of stuff. Several, in fact. I mean, I haven't actually filled the chest yet, and I should probably get to doing that. I like these corridors because, well, they're dark. And if you don't know how levers work, it's like this. I'm pretty sure that's what it is, and I think maybe, yeah, see, magic chest. Wow. I did not mean to do that. Okay, what did I do? Yeah, that's what I did. Anyways, you get the point. The fact that these things are really cool. And on top of that, here is what the nether version would look like. Of course, I use blackstone because, you know, that's the whole point of life, right? Blackstone and gilded blackstone, because gilded blackstone has basically, it's like the same texture as blackstone, just with a little yellow here and there. And again, if you would find an extremely rare jungle temple just filled with gilded blackstone, wouldn't that be awesome? Now, since blackstone's already a dark block, I'm not going to remove the torches. But this is what the top will look like. Alright, you know, gilded blackstone. I was very generous with the gilded blackstone. Then I go to the bottom here, and apparently lever disappeared for some reason. Well, I can fix that. Anyways, you get the point, right? That would be really cool to find some sort of gilded blackstone. And, you know, like just, it'd be a very rare thing to find. And on top of that, it could be ridiculously awesome. Probably screwed it up. Alright, anyways. The traps are the same. For some reason, all of this is broken. I don't know why, that's a good question. Yeah, but everything works, you can see, right? Anyways, so that was all the structures I made. As you can see, just one last time, let me show you. Here is what the jungle temple looks like, or jungle pyramid, whatever you want to call it, versus the blackstone. No, I should call it the nether temple. If you're wondering what that's called, I'm going to call it the blackstone pyramid because I think that makes more sense. So anyways, look at this. I didn't try to mirror the mossy cobblestone because that would have taken my gameplay from 5 hours to more like 8 hours. So that's what it looked like. I think it's really cool. They're a really decent structure, and I mean, they're one of my new favorites in the fact that they're one of the only structures that utilizes any sort of redstone in a constructive manner, not just as an aesthetic in the Igloo, and so that's really cool. That makes me one of their, you know, it's real respect for Mojang to create such an awesome structure. And, you know, and this is my version of the nether. This is what the Igloo would look like, kind of like using the magma block to match the ice. And the fact that, you know, I think that makes more sense. They look pretty cool, if I'm being honest. I love the soul soil's texture. When you see it for a while, it's kind of satisfying to look at. And, you know, the snow texture is really pure versus this kind of dark, dirty soil, which it's literally in the name, compared to this really clean white snow. Here's the desert pyramid, of course, and the blackstone pyramid. One of my favorite structures overall. I mean, obviously, you've seen the inside, but I think people don't realize the ridiculous size of these until they actually build one. And, you know, look at the amount of effort. Just imagine the amount of effort it must take to make this and just copy it from a survival room like I did. I think each they took me about 2 hours to make. And this one I actually had to redo because I kind of failed on the first try, and so you can imagine how long that must have taken. And while I don't take any credit for actually the construction of these, but I think they're really cool. Ruin Portal, again, a structure that took a lot of my time, and I think a really neat structure in the fact that none of them are exactly the same, which is, I think they're one of the only structures to that, besides the Bastion Remnant, to differ in the fact that what the structures look like. For example, not every ruin portal looks like this. In fact, some are bigger, some are smaller. There's 4 general types of ruin portals, but there's still even more, you know, different, unique structures out there, and that gives me respect. a lot of respect for these, and you know the desert well. It's kind of a useless thing, but I think it's kind of neat to find when you're like, oh look, this exists. It would be neat to find this in the Nether, like, oh look, this exists. And you know, I think this is cool. I'm definitely making a part 2 of this when I get more structures in. And if you guys like this video, please drop a like. If you haven't already, please subscribe. Share this if you really like the video. And I'll see you next time. Bye bye.